From an undisclosed location in the upper Michigan Peninsula, it's Beyond the Near Horizon, featuring Colonel Stephen Prather. Now here's your host, Colonel Stephen Prather.
Thank you, Stephanie. It's Monday, January 3rd, and I want to thank all of you out there for joining us for the next little while as we take another journey into the darkness, into the void from just beyond that line of trees, nearby rooftops, beyond the crest of the vanishing point, and infinitely onward. Let me wish all of you a very happy New Year. First of all, happy 1977. New Year's was always interesting for me. When I was a kid, on New Year's Eve, the old man used to take all of the toys out of the room I shared with my brother Proctor and throw them out the back door. And then he would set fire to the backyard. His theory was that any toy that survived the resulting inferno had traversed a sort of natural selection process. All I know is that 7 is a very tender age to see the charred head of a Betsy McCall doll melted onto a stegosaurus with 2 missing legs. Before I go any further, I want to let all of you know about tomorrow's show. Tomorrow, January 4th, as it turns out, will be 2 years. 2 years on the air. And I don't have to tell you how much has changed since January 1975. It feels like we're all living in a different world. All the same, we're going to have one of my favorite authors on the show, rich little impersonator Lewin Diamond, who, as you may recall, was abducted by the KGB, the CIA, and the U.S. Postal Service. We're going to check in with Mr. Diamond to see how he's doing these days. He's got a new book. It's called What Did I Ever Do to You People? And let me tell you, it is really something special. So we're going to celebrate 2 years, and we hope you'll join us. Tonight, however, we're going to be talking to, I think, an equally interesting individual, author, philanthropist. He's a psychic veterinarian, Dr. Harold Lefton. Now, if you don't know what a psychic veterinarian is, you can order a transcript of our December 1975 interview with Dr. Lefton, where he describes the process he pioneered. $1.75 will get you a copy. Just mail that to Beyond the Near Horizon, care of the Organism Consortium, P.O. Box 45000, 45,000, South Memphis, Tennessee 38106. Be sure to ask for December 1975, Dr. Harold Lefton. You will not regret it. And you sure won't look at pigeons the same way again. I'm very polite to every pigeon I meet after that discussion, I can tell you. You know, I've received in the 11 days since our last show more mail than I have ever received in my life. We will get to some of that later, but what a backlog we have. And I have all of you to thank for that. And while I am extremely thankful for every piece of this correspondence, I would like to offer a caution to those of you who might be considering sending raw poultry via the mail. Now, having looked at the care, honestly, with which some of you have prepared these parcels, particularly the dioramas, I want to say in the most appreciative way possible that while it is impressive to see the plucked carcass of a standard chicken integrated into these presentations, the raw fowl involved might not have the shelf life you expect. I got to say, I opened one earlier this week, which featured the Dalles, Oregon City Hall and a very dapper chicken welcoming Sasquatch. I thought the visual was just amazing. But the stench of that poor bird really cut into my viewing of that little masterpiece. The lesson here, I guess, is consider using one of the many varieties of rubber chicken and other artificial fowl on the market. I buy them for the nephews at Halloween, and I purchase many of them for personal purposes. So I do hope you'll keep sending your work, but even the greats had to change the pigments they put on the canvas occasionally. When we return, birthdays and your letters. Stay with us. How many of you, like me, struggle to get your vegetables? Even when I cook for my beautiful wife, Marisol, you have to twist my arm to throw the poor woman an asparagus. We love our meatloaf and our spaghetti, our breads, but man, do we struggle with a Brussels sprout, anything remotely healthy. Well, I was turned on to something at the end of last year, and I think it's absolutely made for those of you out there, and I know you're out there, that struggle as much as I do with getting my vegetable quota cared for. It's called Vegedouse Delight, and I'm telling you, it's a miracle. Just a spray a day, and you're fixed for the vegetable. Vegedouse Delight comes in a super convenient 9-ounce aerosol can. And here's the great part. Only a couple of sprays on your forearms and face give you the recommended daily allowance of those vegetables our bodies need to be healthy. Think about it, folks. Not even a decade beyond 2001, A Space Odyssey. And if this doesn't feel like the future, reaching down and tapping you on the shoulder, I don't know what does. Powered by chlorofluorocarbons, it leaves no antiseptic smells, just the vegetables you need. These are available at your local Norman's Health Emporium. You can also send a check or money order for $6.25, care of Norman's Health, P.O. Box 5677, Green Apple, Minnesota 55947. Just write in big letters somewhere on the check or money order, "Give me my Vegedouse Delight," and they will send a canister right back to you. Allow up to 18 weeks for shipping. Give it a try. It's Vegedouse Delight. You won't regret it. All right. Well, we would love to go over all of the birthdays we missed, but we need a whole other show for that, a series of shows for that matter. We have some very special ones lined up, though, from the world at large and our own family here on this program. So let's get right into it. Hockey player Bobby Hull is 38 today. Rock musician John Paul Jones from the Led Zeppelin is 31. I don't know what the Led Zeppelin is, but it doesn't sound too smart. I guess that, I have it in my ear. He's a bassist in a quartet. Well, let me pause here. I'd say, if you're going to consider a barbershop quartet, with all respect to Mr. Jones, consider a great little group called In for a Penny. They operate out of Winnipeg, and they're like the Beatles up there. Very hard edge, so it's not everyone's taste, but if you're looking for a night on the town, and you don't mind hanging with a tough crowd, and you happen to be in central Canada, give them a listen. What else do we have? Film director Sergio Leone is 48. Interesting bit of trivia here. My neighbor is also named Sergio Leone, as it happens. And boy, you want to talk about talent. I like a spaghetti western as much as the next guy, but if you saw the Sergio next door to us play the spoons, you might wonder which of those gentlemen should be famous. All right, I think that's enough on celebrities. Let's talk about some milestones for our wonderful listeners out there. Shaw Milken, our friend from Scottsdale, Arizona, is 50 today. Happy birthday, Shaw. Brightstone Eternity and her twin sister, Moonrise Eternity, from Berkeley, California, are 26. Happy birthday to you both. Hildegard from Henry, Arkansas, is 80. For those of you who don't know, Hildy has been making stationery for the show for the last 7 months. And right in the middle of every sheet is the head of a goat, or a rendering of the head of a goat, watermark of sorts. Really well done. We use this stuff for everything. So, Hildy, hope you're taking at least one day off from your paper making to celebrate your 80th. William from the Bronx is turning 37. You may recall our conversation with William last November on Open Lines Night, when he informed us that he is in fact aging backwards. Let me tell you, folks, it happens more often than you may know. And not just with human beings. I've seen it in many different forms, but not as often as I do with fruit. Oranges are a big one. Now, take your navel orange. These are pretty normal, grow, live, die kind of oranges. But Valencia, my friends, are a totally different matter altogether. I think back on an incident. This is probably maybe 6.5 months ago. We have my sister-in-law, Temporal, and her 6 children over from Stockholm for a few days. And I had sitting in my fridge for at least 3 weeks before they got there these absolutely picture-perfect Valencia oranges. Mind you, I had noticed in those 3 weeks that they were already aging backwards. Little did I realize what lay ahead, but I've learned to look for this over time, and the signs were unmistakable. They went from being ready to eat when I brought them home all the way back to a greenish ripe. Bear in mind, nothing had changed. I switched out a light bulb in the fridge, but other than that, nothing else changed, and yet the whole look of the orange was different. Well, our anniversary comes along. Marisol and I, we've been planning to have this little romantic dinner for some time. We duck out for 2 hours or so with Temporal and the kids at the house. We have a great dinner at the Coal Exchange. We get home, and Marisol and I have skipped dessert because we were both craving a cool bit of juicy orange. We get into the kitchen, open the fridge, and they are gone. Both Valencias vanished. Temporal and the kids hadn't been near the fridge, they assured us, and what I had not anticipated was that this process of aging in reverse, was accelerating rapidly. Those oranges were reduced in the space of 2 hours by some means to nothingness. Coincident with this, most of the children were coated in some kind of sticky substance, what I can only describe as an ethereal residue. And would you like to guess what the residue bared the smell of? If you said oranges, you'd be right. Yes, the Valencias had certainly dissipated, but they left evidence in their wake. So the lesson here, on a practical level, folks, is if you buy Valencias, eat those suckers quick. Back with letters after this. Everybody gets hungry. And whether you are working outdoors or behind a desk, as I do, for hours on end, you're looking for that next unique snack. Well, folks, I've got one you're going to want to try. That is venison patience. Venison patience is a brand new hard candy from the wooded slopes of the great Montana wilderness. If you don't know its inventor, Professor Margaret Dufall of the Great American Glacier Institute, from her mine safety correspondence courses, folks, you will soon know her from this delicious treat. As you know, I don't typically look too favorably on foods out of the laboratory, but when you order venison patience, you will receive, as I did, an 80-page booklet with a history of the painstaking research and development behind this marvelous confection. It's a harrowing story. It starts with Professor Dufall locked in a life-or-death struggle with what I can only describe as a very sadistic deer. They go at one another in her carport, and let me just say, we're all very fortunate that she came out on the right end of that knife fight. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a movie out of it, but the good news, the better news, is that she set her brilliant mind immediately to what she might do with this carcass she suddenly had on her hands. Well, that was the wellspring for venison patience. With a patented cryogenic vacuum pressure weight preservation system, you can have 2 12-ounce bags of venison patience shipped to your doorstep to enjoy. Wherever you are, that wild, tangy taste, the spirit of the hunter's noble quarry, it will only set you back $6.22, and you'll send that to New Venison Patience, P.O. Box 1111, Lower Newark, New Jersey 07101. Taste the wild, taste venison patience.
Be tired. I wanna know what it means just left in a field. Gotta ask myself why they make it so big when it's way too large for a long already. Any fool would admit that it's just the right fit for some Albuquerque bound cattle sucking clowns in a starship. Big time.
Tomorrow night, also, I promise to bring you all up to speed on Marisol and the whole immigration situation for the government of Sweden. Marisol, whom we usually have on our international line, was out earlier in the evening Stockholm time, seeing Marilyn McCoo. I'm sure that's all wrapped up by now, as they are several hours ahead of us there. Speaking of Ms. McCoo, our first letter this evening is from TF, just the initials, TF, so that could be Teresa or Terry or Tom, and F is a whole other world of possibility. TF writes, Dear Colonel Prather, I've been reflecting on the current hit song, You Don't Have to Be a Star, Baby, by Mary Lynn McCoo. Obviously they mean Marilyn McCoo, with apologies to any Mary Lynn McCoos out there listening tonight. Colonel Prather, this song is so obviously a signal to the people of this great country that I left a bowl of Special K half-eaten to reflect on it one morning. The song features Marilyn McCoo and Billy Davis Jr., and while many find it an uplifting work, I find it quite haunting in a way I haven't felt since I heard Sugar Sugar by the Archies years ago, and we all know what came of that. A thinking, feeling listener can be left with only one question after hearing the song. Where is Billy Davis Sr.? Love your show. Keep digging up the truth. Sincerely, TF. Well, I have to say, I have no idea who Billy Davis Jr. is or was, let alone Sr. But when you sign up to do a national release like that, a big record, people are going to ask questions. Now, I'm not an expert on missing persons, but I do have to say, all of you, if you're listening out there and you think you might know the whereabouts of Billy Davis Sr., or even have a description of the man, give us a call on the Higher Plane Hotline, 800-438-4444 or 1-800-GET-HIGHER, spelled HIRR. Best we could do with 7 digits. We'll be sure to break into the show if we get any confirmed sightings of Senior. All right. Next, we have Douglas P. from Fort Smith, Arkansas, and he writes, Dear so-called Colonel, you are not and have never been a member of any armed force. Calling yourself a colonel is like groping a sheep at a drive-in movie. End your ridiculous and insulting charade. Stop hawking a loogie on the generations that have fought and died to purchase our country's freedom and beat back the bloody wave of tyranny. I wish a plague of boils onto your every orifice and that mucus-filled horns might shoot out of your back, pelvis, and ankles so that you could not hide this from the general public. May you find God's love. Bless you in Christ's name, Douglas P. Well, I've mentioned many times since we started our little broadcast that the title Colonel is a mere honorific from the people of the Yemen Arab Republic, out of gratitude for my role in constructing their Ali Abdullah Squash Court Plaza of the Kings. We've tried changing that moniker up if you've been a regular listener to the introduction. I think we tried the right Yemeni, Colonel Stephen Prather, but it doesn't really roll off the tongue too well. Point of order, looking back on that magical time in Yemen, I remember vividly holding the faces of at least one or two of those precious little Yemenis when I was down there building said squash courts. And I have to say, to turn my back on that honor would be such a betrayal. You want to talk about earthquake intensity, intestinal discomfort. I would be experiencing that 24/7. I wouldn't be able to do the show. I might be able to operate a toll booth. But you want to talk about an unpleasant smelling, just unhappy toll booth operator, that would be me. Appreciate the letter. Okay, one more here. Alexandria L. from San Luis Obispo, Tennessee. I knew the one in California, but I guess we can add the great state of Tennessee to that list. Dear Captain Prather, all right. I'm a third-generation citizen of Idaho. Okay, are we in Idaho or Tennessee? San Luis usually lives up to its reputation as a small family town. Corporal Prather, I've never seen as many spaceships land at the Texaco on Elocution Boulevard as I have in the last 12 months. I've learned to live over the years with the occasional extraterrestrial and the perverse pleasures they take with my alpaca and with my neighbor, Mr. Tether. The alpaca are, after all, quite seductive, and I say this as a scientist and as a scholar. She goes on, let me briefly summarize the key findings of my recent examination of alpaca reproductive mechanisms. Wow, this is 5 or 10 or 12 pages here, and that is a very explicit illustration. Skipping around here. So with that in mind, I ask if you can give me and the rest of your listeners some idea of how many extraterrestrials frequent the service stations near your home in Michigan, so that I might use this data for comparative purposes. With affection, Leon. Where to start? Well, in any event, for Alexandria and or Leon in Tennessee or Idaho, I have not performed as of yet a study that overlaps the rate of visitation and your standard service station. Now, on the other hand, truck stops, that is a glowing white onion waiting to be peeled. I tend to see grays most often, and let me tell you, they love Harvey's Haven truck stops. I assure you, this is not an ad for Harvey's Haven, but if you're heading toward Lake City at 1 in the morning and decide to pull off 55 into the Harveys out there, it's like some kind of convention, I got to tell you. No disrespect to Betty or Barney Hill, but the only thing these little guys were interested in abducting when I saw them were those little pre-wrapped chocolate pies. Now, if you do distinguish between Zeta Reticulum and the Roswell gray, as I do, then I do want to say that Zeta Reticulum are more likely to be seen at Spot Johnny's, and apparently because of their Boston baked bean kiosk. That's a little unscientific given that there's now only one Spot Johnny's in northern Michigan left. All the same, to Alexandria and or Leon, I will keep an eye out at service stations as well. This naturally excludes the Shays Gas and Liquor around the corner that my nephew robbed, at least until they complete the investigation. All right. Keep these letters coming, folks. We do read them all, I can assure you. Next up, we will speak to Dr. Harold Lefton. The new book is Satan is My Neighbor, Dispatches from a Demonic Cul de Sac. Stick around. If you've heard the name Chem Whitney, you're not alone. And if you're already thinking of Mr. Whitney this evening, you might be having a psychic vision right now. Cham is world-renowned for his books on personal success, like If You Smell Rich, You Are, and of course his most popular work, Making Love to Money. I'll read a passage from the latter. Cham writes, everyone has their share of money problems, regardless of whether you believe in Jesus, Buddha, or the Fig Newton. At the end of the day, you got to pay your rent or your mortgage. You have to put the food inside of your kid's mouth. He goes on, take it from me that half of making money in this world is the appearance of wealth. If you see a man put $100 bill in his pocket, you are statistically more likely to give him the change in your pocket, caress him unconsciously, or even offer the hand of your attractive, if slightly homely daughter. Now, passages like that made Mr. Whitney a household name. That's why I am very excited to talk to you about his newest product, Just Like Gold. Imagine the next time you're at a McDonald's hamburger restaurant standing in line, manager notices you secret away some Just Like Gold coins into your pocket. When it's finally your turn at the counter and you're about to fork it over for the cheeseburger and delicious fries, you suddenly hear that manager interrupt, don't worry about it, sir, this one is on us. The fact is that people and businesses alike desire to have the wealthy as their patrons, or even in friendly interpersonal relationships. But you don't really need to be wealthy to take advantage of opportunity. Just Like Gold gives you that foot in every door. These lifelike bars and coins are molded in fresh plastic, weighted with real lead, and coated with quality asbestos gold lame. You practically have to bite them to realize they're not real, and I'm not so sure you can tell then. I've bitten into a few of these. An ounce of gold these days will run you an astounding $130 per ounce, but you can get a bag of just like gold coins or 3 just like gold bars for $1.35 each. Order both together and save a nickel. Send your check, money order, or cash to JLG International, P.O. Box 7, Pueblo, Colorado 81001. Include 20 cents for shipping and handling. And as Jam always says, thank you so much for your precious time. I want to thank Jean from Wichita, Kansas, who informed us via the Higher Plane hotline that she just saw Billy Davis Sr. walk across her lawn. She described him as a lanky Caucasian with shoulder-length hair, thinning a little at the top. He was carrying a bucket with the word extra written on it, a piece of duct tape on his forehead, and wearing a Sonny and Cher t-shirt. She was unsure where he was headed at this time of the night. So, is it him? Probably too early to know. But do keep him coming, folks. We'll find this guy if he is on the mortal plane, or maybe if he isn't. My next guest, in 1959, won the Gallup, New Mexico Chamber of Commerce Creativity and Profit Award for establishing the Firelight Clinic for Forensic Veterinarian Exploration. He has 2 PhDs in superkinetic animal husbandry and sculpting. Like many of us, he has been captivated by the occult, having written 11 books on the topic. His latest, Satan is My Neighbor, Dispatches from a Demonic Cul de Sac. Let's welcome him now, Dr. Harold Lefton.
Hello?
Awfully sorry, this is Colonel Stephen Prather. We were just speaking with Dr. Harold Lefton on this line.
This is Doris.
Pleasure to meet you, Doris. May we speak with Dr. Lefton? We were just on this line with Dr.
You're gonna have to hang up and dial again. This is the party line.
I see. We'll do that. Thank you, Doris. Do apologize for this delay, folks. This is the live radio love-hate situation.
Hello?
Oh, is this Doris again?
Oh, sorry about that. Force of habit.
Quite all right. All right, here we go again. I'll certainly never forget this number.
Porntown, this is Mike.
I'm sorry?
Porntown, this is Mike.
I was calling for Dr. Harold Lefton. This is Colonel Stephen Prather. Short and sweet. One more time. See if this is our lucky go.
Hello.
Yes, I'm calling for Dr. Harold Lefton.
You got his neighbor, Lou.
If it's not too much to ask, could you perhaps check out your window to see if his lights are on?
I'm warming up some meatloaf right now.
All right, fair enough. I won't keep you very long. Did you say your name was Lou?
Yes, I did.
Lou, are you aware that your neighbor wrote a book about you?
Yes, I am aware.
Have you read the book? Do you have any comment on it?
I'm depressed by it.
So you deny being seen?
No, that's not the point. Okay, he makes me out to look like some kind of cult leader.
Okay.
First of all, I'm just doing my job. Let's not lose sight of that. I didn't wake up this morning and think, boy, I would find it fascinating to give the neighbor kid dysentery. I have a list to work. It's not personal. It's not like I'm living in luxury here.
Oh, fair enough. And as it happens, and with your permission, as unexpected as all of this is, I'd love to crack this little walnut open, and I'm sure my listeners have a lot of questions for you, Lou. Can we possibly have a few minutes of your time tonight?
Oh, God. Yeah, sure.
All right, well, let's start with basics. We are speaking with the devil, a.k.a. Beelzebub.
All day long.
All right, and may we ask how old you are?
I have no idea. It's not like the world is dying to throw me birthday parties. I could be thousands, millions, billions, depending on who's doing the talking.
But surely you must have some sense of it from historical events or just your own memory.
Well, my knees are shot, if that's what you mean. Hold on a second. I have to have a bite of something here.
And no trouble. Take your time. Take your time. Folks, Satan on the line. So get those questions ready.
I don't know why I'm so hungry today. All right, go ahead.
All right. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to read out a list of occurrences, and I'd like you to tell me if you are responsible for these events.
Whatever floats your boat, except the Garden of Eden. I just got a subpoena, so I can't talk about that.
All right, very well. How about the murder of Julius Caesar?
I consulted, but was not directly involved.
All right. How about the eruption at Pompeii?
What? Vesuvius, the volcano? No. You people want to blame me when your shorts ride up, I swear. Do I strike you as having time to manage plate tectonics? God, next question.
Interesting. The Black Plague.
I did the first one, but I wasn't involved with any of the sequels.
The institution of slavery.
No, that one is on humanity.
Fair enough. The assassination of Abraham Lincoln.
No, I don't work with actors, too flaky.
The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand.
No, I was in St. Petersburg babysitting.
The assassination of JFK.
What is it with assassinations? I don't know. Read the Warren Report.
Oh, okay. Let's switch gears. Soul possession. We've received a lot of testimony on this show and the world over on this. How much can you tell us about how that works?
Are you talking about the Santana album?
Not exactly. This would be the act of your inhabiting a human being.
Oh, that, yeah.
Is this something you do daily?
It depends on what's on your work order.
I guess I'm a little confused. I always assumed you were in a position of power in hell, if I may call it that.
No, not really.
Well, if you're not in charge, who is in charge?
Exactly. Did you know, even though I technically live in the United States, that I don't have the option to circulate a petition in the workplace to unionize? I can't even think of filing an NLRB 502. They added a rider to my contract last year, which I can absolutely confirm the signature was forged on, that states the expectation that I would use spiritual or supernatural means of seeking health care for workplace injuries. Workplace injuries? You know, if I burn myself setting fire to a shopping mall, maybe I don't feel like dressing my own wounds. It's ridiculous.
I wasn't hip to that dynamic, I have to say. I guess, based on what you've told us so far, do you actually consider yourself evil?
I'd like to. I could be dozens of times more effective and menacing if I didn't have to fill out forms for every subcontractor I hire. A guy can hijack a school bus, but God forbid he itemize his own receipts. Stuff like that makes me furious.
I see. Well, we're getting kind of into some more technical areas. Let me back up here for a second. I'll just ask, who was the last person you took possession of?
Oh, God. Oh, let me see. An 8-year-old in Pittsburgh, Daphne. I'll be honest, she didn't need any help from me. What a mess that kid is.
Wow, that is fascinating.
If you say so.
What did you do? Walk us through a typical possession, if you could.
I usually go in around 2 hours before the big reveal. It's kind of like traveling internationally. You want to plan ahead.
Okay.
It's good to get in early so you can have a look around, what lamps to throw, candles I can light, normal scary stuff, I guess.
Right. No kidding. Does the possessed party resist, usually?
It depends. But usually, I'll be honest, for most of the time, you have to sit there and listen to what is running around in these people's heads.
I see.
I challenge you to do that for an afternoon with an idiot 8-year-old on full blast. They think in their normal voice, by the way. Let that sink in.
Mm-hmm. How much of what happens is like what we see in The Exorcist?
Are you asking me what The Exorcist sees?
No, I was referring to the movie, the motion picture, The Exorcist.
I have a horrible schedule. I don't get out at all to the movies. The last thing I saw was Patton.
All right. Well, I think you would find this film interesting. I'd certainly love to hear your opinion on it. If you see it come around the marquee at your local theater, check that out. But
don't seem giving me a break on my schedule anytime soon, but sure.
Well, speaking of that, what is your relationship with the big guy, God?
Oh, I don't know. I feel like every time I'm talking with him, they're somewhere else.
Well, he's probably busy. He does listen to everyone's prayers.
Oh, what does that mean? I guess my job is meaningless?
No, I only meant it might explain why he could come off as distracted.
I just don't think there's any excuse for that. When I don't want to talk to someone, I just say it to their face.
Fair enough. Lou, can you hang on with us through the break? We'd love to talk to you a little bit more.
I could do maybe another 15 minutes.
All right.
Then I've got to go write a song for Debbie Boone.
Oh, absolutely fine. We appreciate it. Stay tuned out there. We'll be right back with the devil after this message. Recently, I read an article that said that the average human being can live about 3 minutes without air, around 3 days without water, and somewhere in the neighborhood of 3 weeks without food. But I ask you, what about the emotional domain of love? Well, I was fortunate enough to encounter my enchanting bride, Marisol, on the Baltic paradise of Gotland during the beautiful papier-mâché festival there. I recognize that this is far from the norm. Well, why not harness the power of the computer to break down all the factors that go into finding the perfect mate? Since the late 1960s, the Big B, Besselheim, has emerged as the premier name in computer dating. Their reputation rests on their 3 guiding principles: hygiene, surveillance, and convenience. They believe, and their results bear out, that these attributes form the prism of human compatibility. When you sign up for the Besselheim experience, you will have installed at your residence and workplace a set of computer terminals. Then, as you go through your day, you will simply log your regular activities. The electronic brains at Besselheim will do the rest. You'll find, as many have, that it's easy to fall into this routine. Wash your hands, log that into the terminal. Brush your teeth, into the terminal. Eat a bagel, take a tinkle, go number 2, pray, put on your socks. It all goes in the terminal. Within 3 to 6 weeks, my friends, you will receive a message alerting you to your potential matches based on real data. When you finally have that first date, you and your match will log your activity in the terminal together for that rendezvous and all the ones that follow it. And it is simple. After the prescribed number of dates, if your combined scorecard hits the threshold, and both your immune systems are able to tolerate the patented love encouragement blood additive, Besselheim will dispatch technicians to offer their congratulations. Remove your IVs and any mobile neck restraints used during the program. The rest is up to you and your new bride or groom. So how do you get in touch with Besselheim? Well, if you do laundry, you already know. Just swing by your local laundromat and head to that bulletin board. Big B has flyers in thousands of locations across the U.S. with drop instructions and tips on avoiding misguided interference from law enforcement. Let Big B be a part of your future. Besselheim understands the science of attraction. Welcome back. Yuri has just informed me we've got about 5 or 6 of you out there queued up for the higher plane hotline, including Mitch from St. Petersburg, Florida. So we know we'll see at least one Vic Tayback related question. We can look forward to that. Lou, thank you for sticking around.
You ever read Nietzsche?
Not a lot of Nietzsche. I'm more of a Danielle Steele kind of guy.
He talked about staring into the abyss of human suffering.
Well, I tell you, we do love the abyss on this show, so you're in the right place. That's for sure. Let's take a call here. Jim from South Bend, Indiana. You're on with Satan.
Hello. First-time caller, long-time listener.
Thank you, Jim. What is your question for the devil?
Yeah, more of a comment. I think this guy is a whiner. You got a job. You got to put food on the table.
Right.
You need to pull your pants up. I've been laying pipe for St. Joseph County for the last 17 years. And if I moaned about it as much as this guy, good God.
Not sure what that was. Jim, are you still with us?
Yeah, this Volkswagen across the street just burst into flames.
Okay. Glad you're still on the line. I hope everyone is all right there.
I'm sick of this generation, though. All of them do nothing but complain. And then they crap their pants when something serious breaks.
Well, why don't we give Lou a chance to respond?
I want to hand it to them. Everybody, tell you what, try laying sewer in the dead of summer when the surveyor screws the pooch, calculating the slope for the drain you're supposed to lay down. Try that out.
Wow. Did anyone hear that? Jim, are you still there?
Yeah, the house next door just exploded for some reason.
Okay, Jim. Maybe we need to let you go call the fire department.
I've got all this crap in my yard now.
Well, hopefully someone is making that call. I do want to give Lou a chance just to chime in here.
As far as I care, Lou can hitchhike back to California or wherever he came from and go bunk up with Governor Moonbeam.
Okay.
He is exactly what's wrong with this country.
Well, okay. I think we've got something maybe wrong with the connection there, Jim. Did we lose you?
No, I'm on fire for some reason.
Well, do you have anyone there with a blanket or some water, at least?
No. It's fine. Ask Lou how he would like to live in communist China, though.
Okay.
I'll take my answer off the air.
Okay. Yep. Very passionate caller there. Lou, what is your response to being labeled a complainer?
This guy is an idiot. He has no idea what the pressures are in this job.
All right, we'll leave it there. Linda, in Billings, Montana, you're on with the devil.
Thank you. First-time caller, Colonel Prather. Thank you for taking my call.
Welcome, Linda. Why are you whispering?
I'm being bugged.
I see. May I ask who is surveilling you?
Yes, you may ask.
Thanks for clearing that up. Do you have a question for the devil?
Yes. I would like to know if he is single.
Lou, in case you couldn't hear that, she would like to know if you are available.
Like, for parties?
Romantically available, Lou.
I'm on again and off again with a bassist from the Runaways, but nothing serious.
Do you like going to
Lou, the question is, do you like going to clubs?
Yeah, but not for dates. I'm looking for a deeper connection, and I can't get that doing the hustle.
I'm a Taurus. What sign are you?
Your astrological sign, Lou?
I'm an Aries. What do you do?
I'm the treasurer for the Billings, Montana Teamsters Union, Local 190.
Really? That must be fascinating work.
I would love to talk to you more about
I think
it.
we're getting a little bit off track.
Oh, no need. My brother-in-law is a waste disposal operator out there. He's a rep.
Really, really interesting. I thought we might transition here to
that must be Neil. That must be Neil.
we do
I'm so
have
glad
some
I met
additional
you.
questions.
What a small
in
world.
queue.
I know,
always like to
likewise.
I have to go,
Woman
but I'll
said
call
it.
you. Can I reach you off the main
Paranormal,
switchboard?
Yes. Yes, looking forward to it.
Me too.
Bye.
One last question.
Yep. Bye.
Oh, all right. I guess that's it. Well, quite a show we had tonight. A little more brief than we would have liked. Incidentally, no word on Dr. Lefton yet, but we will certainly give everyone an update on that by tomorrow's show. We did have a lot of questions left on the hotline for our satanic guest. Yuri just handed me a few of those. Randolph, calling from Portland, Maine, left us, I think, the most intriguing one. Colonel Prather, what would you say if I told you that the person you were talking to tonight was, in fact, Billy Davis Sr.? Well, thank you for the question of the year so far, Randolph. It is early yet. But is it a coincidence that we began a quest to search for this poor man, Billy Davis Sr., and we end up talking with a mysterious entity? He claimed to be the Lord of Hellfire, but was that all just a cover? We can research it and find out. I do want to thank the folks at the Coal Exchange for the corn sandwiches today. They're a little tough on my digestion, but the dogs, Matador and Persephone, love them. Of course, thank you, Stephanie, our announcer, and Yuri, our researcher, man on the phones. Join us tomorrow for the anniversary show. Lou and Diamond will be our guest. Until then, do not allow the ordinary distractions to thwart your search for wisdom and knowledge. All that and more may just be revealed beyond the near horizon. Good night.